The man in the hallway. The morning sun cast long lines across the sidewalks of downtown Phoenix. Heat shimmered above the pavement even before the clock struck 8. Office towers hummed with fluorescent light and cold air pouring through ducts trying to outrun the desert. Inside the mirrored glass of one such tower, Lexford and Blythe LLP, one of the most prestigious litigation firms in the Southwest, people moved with sharp purpose. Briefcases in hand, AirPods in ears, caffeine-fueled and deadline-bound. Sloane Whitaker stepped out of a black SUV at the building's front entrance. Her ivory pantsuit caught the light like polished marble. She didn't pause. Phone pressed her ear. Her tone was clipped and commanding. "If it's not filed by 10, we lose leverage. Make it happen." The lobby gleamed. Marble floors, golden elevator doors, and the subtle hush of money moving quietly. Sloane's heels clicked loudly until she stopped short in front of a yellow caution sign. A janitor was cleaning up a spilled iced coffee. She sighed, rolled her eyes. "Seriously?" The man didn't look up. His mop moved with deliberate rhythm, back and forth, steady as a tide. His shirt read T. Brooks, faded over the chest pocket. Sloane pulled off her sunglasses. "Excuse me," she said, waving her manicured hand like she was hailing a taxi on Fifth Avenue. "You're blocking the elevator." No response. She raised her voice. "Do you speak English, or?" The janitor finally looked up. Calm brown eyes, maybe early 50s. Clean-shaven, with a stillness that didn't quite fit the role. "Just finishing up here, ma'am," he said gently. "Yeah, well, maybe mop before people start arriving for real work. This isn't a train station." Still no anger. No ismic. He just nodded slightly, as if observing a cloud pass overhead. Sloane huffed. "In this building, things are expected to be clean before 8. It's called standards. Maybe ask someone to train you, if that's unclear." The janitor nodded again. "Understood." She stepped around the caution sign, hit the elevator button with extra force, and muttered under her breath as the door slid open. The security guard at the desk had seen it all. He shook his head. The janitor was always early. Quiet. Thorough. Never left a mess. Inside the elevator, Sloane was already on another call. "You wouldn't believe the level of incompetence I just witnessed." Upstairs, the firm buzzed with energy. Associates were just settling in. Sloane's glass-walled corner office lit up like a command center. Meanwhile, downstairs, Terrence Brooks wheeled his mop bucket into a staff elevator, bypassing the public floors entirely. No one stopped him. The elevator creaked down to sublevel 3, a place few even knew existed. Past the boiler room, inside a locked supply closet, Terrence pulled off his janitor's shirt. Beneath it, a plain charcoal t-shirt. On his chest, a tiny microphone taped flat. He pulled a small recorder from his back pocket and transferred the audio file to a hidden laptop nestled in a box marked glass cleaner. Her voice rang clear in the tiny speakers. Condescending. Cold. Predictable. It wasn't the first recording, and it wouldn't be the last. Terrence Brooks hadn't cleaned a real floor in almost a year. He was Assistant U.S. Attorney Terrence R. Brooks, Civil Rights Division, Los Angeles. Assigned temporarily to a joint DOJ task force investigating systemic discrimination in major law firms across Arizona and Nevada. Lexford and Blythe had come under quiet suspicion after 2 black women paralegals filed independent complaints a year apart. Both were dismissed quietly by HR. But patterns emerged. That's when the department sent Terrence. He knew how people looked through you when you wore certain uniforms. He knew how to be invisible. 6 months, 6 buildings. Always janitorial staff. No one asked questions. And he listened. At Lexford and Blythe, the patterns were stark. Abnormally high turnover for minority staff, secretive settlements, and an air of superiority that seemed baked into the carpet. His tools were simple. A mop handle that held a recording device, a trash liner embedded with a micro lens, and a memory that didn't forget tone. He logged every shift, every slight, every off-the-record remark whispered in break rooms. And today, Sloane Whitaker had gone from noted name to person of interest. Her arrogance wasn't remarkable. What mattered was where she said it public lobby, within earshot, and on security footage. Back upstairs, Sloan was already in high gear, shouting instructions, criticizing briefs, cutting down anyone who fell short. She was respected by clients, feared by subordinates, and often tolerated by peers. In the partner's lounge, she chuckled over coffee. You see the new janitor? Took him 10 minutes to clean a spill. I was late to the elevator. Janine, another partner, raised an eyebrow. Maybe he's just thorough. Sloan waved it off. He gives off a weird vibe, like he's watching everyone. Doesn't say a word. Probably doesn't even know what he's cleaning. Sounds a little harsh, Janine said coolly. Oh, come on, Sloan laughed. You know me. I don't have a racist bone in my body. I just believe in standards. Everyone should know their lane. Silence. Terrence caught every word through a mic planted 3 days earlier in the lounge outlet. He backed up the recording, labeled it, forwarded it to the DOJ case lead. Sloan was no longer just background noise. She was a pattern. He made his move subtly, switched floors that afternoon to cover the executive wing. No one batted an eye. He cleaned near her office while she spoke on the phone. If the client wants to stall, remind him who writes the checks. These people forget they work for us. Later, another recording this one from her conversation with Travis, a junior associate. You want to stay here? Stop pushing diversity. You want respect? Work like everyone else, and stop pretending your background entitles you to anything. Terrence stopped recording after that. He didn't need more. He logged the date, time, location, and language. Marked it escalation trigger. At 3:42 p.m., he made the call to his DOJ contact. We're ready to move. No sit-ins. No arrests. Instead, a formal request for internal ethics review was filed. A quiet audit. A warning letter sent directly to the managing partner. By Monday, 2 federal officials arrived as faux clients. Another sat with HR behind closed doors. Emails followed. Staff were encouraged to speak up. Some did. The tapes were already doing most of the talking. By Wednesday, something shifted. At the partner meeting, Sloan noticed it. Seats shifted. Eyes avoided hers. Even her assistant, Grace, had grown distant. Tasks delivered without smiles. Tone clipped. She blamed stress. Then came the announcement. Elliot Baines, managing partner, stood at the head of the conference table, a thick folder in front of him. We've received a formal notice of investigation from the Department of Justice, he said. The case includes verified audio recordings. From inside this firm. Gasps. Sloan blinked. Wait, is this about? It's about patterns. And treatment. And conduct. Elliot interrupted. Someone whispered, she's on the tape. Sloan stood. I want to speak with you. You will. During your scheduled interview. Downstairs, Terrence walked into HR not as a janitor, but in a tailored suit. No mop. No badge. Just a leather folder with a final report. Everything you need is inside, he said calmly. Name and title. Terence Brooks. Assistant U.S. Attorney. By the end of the week, Sloan Whitaker was gone. No public memo. No press release. Her name vanished from the directory. Her office plaque removed. Grace packed her things and left them at security. People whispered. No severance. Emails too. Not just audio. The firm moved on. Janine absorbed her client list. Travis found his voice. Small shifts. Real ones. Upstairs, culture began to thaw. HR installed an anonymous hotline. Mentorships were redesigned with new safeguards. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Terrence returned to L.A., back to new cases. A university. A medical board. A state agency. The mission continued. But every month, he made time for one thing. A visit to South Mountain High. A law discussion. Real stories. Not about power, but about purpose. Once, a student asked him, were you scared? Terence replied, no. Just tired. Tired of people being ignored. So I did something. Another asked, did it work? He smiled. We didn't fix everything, but we started something. And that's how change begins. Back in his office, the old janitor's shirt stayed folded in a bag. Not a trophy, just proof of what people reveal when they think no one is watching. He never said Sloan's name again. The files were sealed, but the lesson remained. Respect isn't worn, it's shown. And sometimes, the most powerful person in the room is the one no one sees coming.